No.
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Perlstein. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the glass and glazing industry. I really appreciate your support. It's been actually probably the longest stretch between podcasts I've had in a while, just the way the schedule worked out, but the schedule for the rest of the year looking fantastic. Lots of great guests, including today's, which I'll talk about in a moment. But first and foremost, a significant thank you to my friends at FHC, is the sponsor of this episode. FHC supports glazers. It is what they do. Be it installer-friendly product innovation, unmatched customer service, or lightning-fast lead times, FHC is in the business of supporting the glazing professional. They've got the track record to back up that claim. To date, they've invested over $1 million to fund glazer education via myglassclass.com, learnglazing.com, and the AGMT Glazer certification. Want to get your crew certified? FHC is hosting AGMT Glazer certification August 19th to the 21st at the FHC campus in Southgate, California. I've heard it's unbelievable there. I'll make it there one of these days. Stand out amongst the competition with validation and recognition of world-class glazing knowledge, skills, and abilities. To sign up for that, go to glazingcertification.com. To learn more about FHC, hit them up at fhc-usa.com. So thank you to them for that. And hey, we've got a good one today, as always. I've been blessed. So kicking it off are two gentlemen from Bendheim, classic legendary company in our world, Saeed Elieh and Peter Stattler. Great guys, fun conversation, chopped it up. It was really enjoyable. Neat personalities. And then, speaking of neat personality, Ted Baumgardner of Guthrie AI is on the back end of the podcast. AI is here. He's got a pretty cool plan. He comes from the industry, ex-Marine or Marine, former Marine. I don't know what the right terminology is. Good man, interesting guy, smart product, process. And so I think you'll get a kick out of that. So let's get it rolling. I'll be back on the other end with some TV thoughts, but we're going to kick it off with the Bendheim guys, Peter Stattler, Saeed Elieh. Okay. To kick things off for this edition of From the Fabricator, I'm thrilled to be joined by two gentlemen from Bendheim, which is an unbelievable company, which you'll learn a lot more about. I've got Peter Stattler, who's the sales director or VP of sales, Peter?
Yeah, sales director for the Bendheim Wall Systems.
Okay, sales director for Bendheim Wall Systems, and Saeed Elieh, who is the vice president of sales and innovation. So I got two big hitters with me, guys. Thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
It's a thrill for me. I've known both of you here and there over the years, but this will probably be, this next set of time is the longest I'll ever have gotten to talk to either of you. So I'm kind of excited about that, to pick your brain. And let's just start with your past. I do this every podcast, and I think it's one of the most popular things. People love to hear other people's journeys. So, Peter, I'll start with you. Where were you born, grew up, your journey from then to now at Bendheim?
Oh boy, I'm a Jersey boy. Grew up in Jersey, went to school in Boston, and my journey started in New York. Basically, coming back, I did a lot of internships. I went to a co-op program school in Boston, so I actually worked in Germany for almost 2 years. A couple big companies doing marketing and promotional stuff for them, and then came back to the States. I was actually working in a dealership in New York City, and the vice president of a very large German glass company came to pick up a car and started talking to him. He's like, "You want to sell cars the rest of your life?" I said, "Not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's not a bad, profession." But 3 weeks later, I was gone.
Wow.
Wound up, it's actually supposed to start selling and marketing photochromatic glass. This is 1999, so
Way ahead of the game there. Okay.
way ahead of the curve. And literally just as I got hired, they abandoned it because they said, "Well, when can you make this 8-inch by 8-inch photochromatic glass larger?" And they said, "Well, we can probably get to 12-inch by 12-inch by 2003.
Oh my gosh.
And they killed that off, and I wound up in the architectural division of this company. So that's a quick background from my side.
Yeah, that's something else. That's something else. And now you're at Bendheim, and I forgot to say you can find Bendheim online at www.bendheim.com. That's BENDHEIM.com. Saeed, your past. Something tells me you weren't selling cars somewhere.
No. So I was born in Lebanon. and I grew up there. I came here in 2005. So what I did in Lebanon, I did architecture. I went to school for architecture, and I started working with glass since I was 17 years old. I worked with the company that we did French system, Technal, French system. So
Hmm.
I started as an estimator when I was in high school, and then I moved to started doing shop drawings and design, and then I became a field guy, project manager, and a field guy. Do you want the long story or the short story?
Keep going. You're rolling. It's all
Okay.
good.
So in 2005, I don't know if you remember, there was like a big explosion in Beirut, Lebanon.
Okay.
They assassinated the president at that time.
Okay.
His name is Rafiq Hariri. And then the bomb happened in like major area in Beirut, where like very high-end hotels and something like stuff like that. So it happened around 8:50 in the morning,
Okay.
right? The explosion. It was like 1,000 kilos of TNTs and C4, a crazy explosion.
Sure.
So by 2 p.m., this hotel, it's called Phoenicia, is one of the oldest hotels in Lebanon. They're like, we want somebody at the job site. They had insurance against terrorism and they wanted to open right away. They're like, we want somebody on the project site today, the same day.
Wow.
And so by 2 p.m., I was on the job site reviewing every floor of the hotel. I was powder coated finishes. So I need to check which one we can fix, like get powder coated and fix
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And then all the glass that size the glass that we have to order. And then get back to the office. I got back to the office around 10 p.m. We did the pricing. We sent the pricing at 2 a.m.
Uh-huh.
And then 8 a.m. the second day, I was on the job site with 5 people
Amazing.
starting to work.
Amazing. I'm glad you told the longer version. That's amazing.
And then after that, I we finished this job, and then I came here. This job was in February. We finished it, and then I left in July. I came to the US.
Gotcha. And when you came to the U.S., obviously you had the architecture background, the glass background. Did you go right to Bendheim or did you start somewhere
No,
else?
I started working in the beginning with the structural engineer
Okay.
here in New Jersey, and then I moved to another firm, structural engineering firm in New York. But I always wanted to go back to glass because I had a lot of experience with the glass, and this is what I knew.
Yeah.
But it was good for me to work with structural engineers, especially when you talk about facade systems.
Yeah.
That helped a lot with the concrete, steel, detailing. So it helped me a lot. And then I found Benheim in 2009, and I'm still here. I started
Yeah.
with Benheim as an estimator,
Okay.
and
Okay.
now I'm a vice president.
You worked your way up. I love it. And I love the experience that you had in Beirut because now when somebody calls you and says they need a piece urgently, you could say, "No, I know what urgent is."
Exactly.
Trust me, that's not as urgent as the urgent I had back in 2005. So,
And it was crazy, like how powerful is the bomb? Like if you go and see the aluminum was cut like a saw cut.
oh
It
wow.
was like a clean cut aluminum. It was crazy. Like you understand how powerful are these explosions when you see it in person.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Very interesting. Very cool. I love it. Great backgrounds from both of you. And Peter, I had no idea. I always thought you were in the glass and architectural world from day one. So I had no
I
idea.
basically was. I wasn't supposed to, but
Yeah.
I wound up being there.
I love it. I love it. All right. So, in case people, I'm sure, I would bet 99% of my audience knows what Bendheim does, but maybe not. There's maybe a few out there, stragglers that don't know what you guys do. So, and I know, Peter, you're on the wall system side, and Saeed, you're over a lot of the other stuff that you got going. So, kind of an elevator pitch. Peter, starting with you, what's going on? What do you guys do? What do you provide with Bendheim Wall Systems?
So in general about Benheim, we're four divisions.
Right.
And it started in 1927 as an importer of mouth-blown glass from Lambert's. So we still have the mouth-blown division, and we have exterior division, we have an interior division, and then we have a cabinet division where somebody can go on our website for like kitchen cabinets, and they order the glass themselves.
Gotcha.
In year 2001, this is when wall system started. I
Okay.
started with the channel glass from
Gotcha.
Lambert's.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the largest projects is still in the US is the Nelson Atkins Museum in Kansas City by Stephen Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and we kept adding to this division, the exterior division. So we started adding the rain screen system, the parking facade system, railing system, canopy systems. But we wanted somebody to focus only on exterior because the company is heavy on interior
Right.
division,
Right.
and we wanted to give the exterior the same focus as the interior. And this is where Peter comes in. We knew Peter for a long time. He's my best friend,
Yeah.
and he's been friends with the Jasons. I'm not gonna give the date, Peter. So
Yeah.
for a
That
long
will
time, I'm
definitely
just gonna
date
say
me. But
exactly
one of the funniest stories is the first time I actually met Saeed was I think it was an AIA show in
in
2000,
DC.
yeah, in Washington D.C., right?
Yeah,
And Saeed was brand new, and one of my colleagues actually played a prank on him, along with the owners of the owners of Bendheim knowing this, and walked up and just looked at Saeed in his eyes. Saeed has no idea who this guy is, and the guy turns around and says, "Saeed, you look beautiful," and he walked away.
Oh my gosh.
and I was like new in the company, and I'm like, what's wrong with these people?
That's it. Were you wearing the glasses, Saeed, at that point?
And
Yeah.
I wasn't wearing the glasses. So what happened? This is the first time I go to a trade show, right?
Right.
And then when you're new, and then I was new in the company too. Like my English wasn't good, and then like you're kid. I was probably, I would say, 20 years old, 28 years old. So I was like, I didn't know what to say, what to do.
Right.
And then this architect comes to me, and then he's asking me about Sharon glass. So I started explaining Sharon glass to him, and the guy wasn't even looking at the Sharon glass. He's looking at me the entire
Oh
time.
my gosh.
So, and then he's like, he looked at my tag. He's like, Saeed, son of a gun, you're beautiful, right? And then he left. And then Donald Jason over here, the president of Bendheim, he told Donald Press,
Yeah.
the guy Peter is talking about, the story. So Donald Press came and then he started asking me about Sharon glass. And then he looked at my tag. He's like, Saeed, son of a gun, you're beautiful. I'm like, I'm quitting this job. Not for me.
Hey, but from a prank standpoint, it's better than, a lot of people who get pranked. You guys may do this, with some of your folks, the glass stretcher in the warehouse. You find the glass stretcher and make this piece of glass longer. That's not a bad prank being told how good looking you are. You're a beautiful son of a gun. I love it.
Exactly.
This is
Thank you.
great.
Thank
This
you.
is great. I've got Peter Stattler and Saeed Elieh with me from Bendheim. You can find them online at bendheim.com. And Peter, anything to add from your side on the wall system since that's your domain?
Yeah, well, to me, wall systems is new. I'm a glass guy, but I'm not a systems guy. So that's been interesting for me in the last year to be learning about systems.
Right.
And it's a little bit different than my past trajectory. So it's pretty cool, but it's interesting that most people know Bendheim for glass and not necessarily systems.
Right.
I mean, maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. But Bendheim has some pretty interesting and innovative systems. So.
Yeah, I mean, and Saeed mentioned you're coming up on the 100th anniversary, but talk a little bit more about the systems, just because they are a little bit of a game changer.
Yeah. So the system was the main focus on the exterior was systems because you can't just sell glass on the exterior. You need to pass. When you talk about facade, it's totally different than when you're talking about the interior of the building. Totally different animal to almost like different product. They won't even speak. Um, so we start thinking about bringing the concept of the exterior to the interior, where you just instead of waiting until the end for the field measurements to fabricate the glass, get involved in the beginning with the architect. And it's always beneficial. If any architects listening to this, please make a decision in the beginning who you're gonna work with.
Yeah.
You're gonna save yourself a lot of headache and a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very important to get the design in the beginning with the factory manufacturer you're gonna use because they will, based on their experience, they tell you exactly what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, no, no,
Uh,
no doubt. The experience of the manufacturer is huge, and obviously, you guys have a tremendous reputation amongst the architectural community. So I'm sure people are knocking on your door quite a bit, and also being in New York doesn't hurt either. So I think that's great advice, and the systems sound exciting. So keep that rolling. Speaking of rolling, how is business for you guys this year? It's been such a weird year, but you're so diverse with the fact that you have so many different divisions. How are you holding up through kind of the craziness of our world 2025?
We're having very good year this year,
Good.
and we're based on the numbers. We're gonna have another exciting year next year, and that it's not only about the business. It's what we're doing internally to improve, to get projects that we used to lose before, right?
Gotcha.
So we moved to a 150,000 square foot facility in Wayne, New Jersey, where we used to be in Passaic before, where we had 3 different buildings, and you don't want to run production with 3 different buildings.
Right.
It's like disaster, it drives you crazy. So now it's big, huge rectangle. Everything is done in-house
Nice.
in one facility, and you have a control. You can control the production.
Yeah.
And that helped a lot. It helped with the quality of the glass. Bendheim is known for the quality of the glass, right? But you can always improve. There is no limit. You can always improve.
Sure.
So our lead time, our quality, and then I think this is what's helping a lot in securing those projects. We used to get specified a lot, and we used to lose projects because of the control that we didn't have. But now, since we have that control, we see a lot of projects that we price we're actually getting, and is making a huge benefit for us, actually, positive impact in the company for this year and then hopefully for next year.
And as a VP of Sales and Innovation, you like when those specs are held and stay in your world. So very cool. Curious question for the two of you, because you now both of you have been in and around our industry for so long. What do you consider the hottest product or trend in our world right now? Peter, we'll start with you. What do you think is the hottest product or trend right now?
I'd probably say some of the systems that we developed are pretty hot because it just simplifies everything, not just for the architect, but for the installer. So to the point, we actually have contractors coming to us and say, hey, if you have another channel glass project in our territory and we didn't come up on the bid package, please, call us. We'd like to try and get involved in it because it's an easy system to install and put together. So maybe Saeed can talk a little bit more about some of the interior systems and rain screen systems, but
yeah, no, and before you jump inside, the ease of installation with the way that the labor market is right now is like such an extra plus. When you can make it easier on the folks that you're selling it to install it, I can see why people are knocking on your door. Saeed, what about you? What are you seeing out there? Whether it's the rain screens or other things, what's hot in the streets?
So there's a lot of new product that is coming from everybody, but I still think the best product that happened is oversized glass.
Okay. Did not expect that answer from you.
Yeah.
All right.
The reason, in my opinion, the less aluminum you have on the project, on the facade, the better the facade is gonna work or perform, and less material to fabricate. So I believe oversized glass and we're seeing that on the interior, where typically on the interior we used to do 8 foot high glass all the time, and now every single project almost is 12 foot minimum. Everybody is going to oversized glass. Now, what we do on the interior, for example, if we take an example as a wall cladding, right, on the interior elevator lobbies or elevator, before what we used to do is we used to send the glass out, right, and then crate the glass, send it to the installer, the glazing contractor. They have to uncrate the glass and they put their own Z-clip system on it, so we start doing that in-house. By doing that in-house, you crate the glass, you send it directly to the job site. So, but by that only, you eliminated another handling, right? And the less time you handle glass, the better, because there's less risk of breakage and damage of the glass.
For sure.
So we started doing those Z-clips. We put them over here. We install it. We do the shop drawings ourselves, and that helped a lot too. That we are 7 architects in house, so we do design assist, all shop drawings, all fabrication drawings, all is done in-house, and that's helping a lot, actually,
Yeah.
even securing projects.
I'm sure. I'm sure Design Assist is another hot thing out there. That's very cool. So I've got Saeed Elieh and Peter Stattler, Bendheim. Bendheim.com is the website. I always break up the pod about halfway through with a fun question, and I ask this one every few months because I love the range of answers. And that is your favorite all-time food. Because we've had everything from gas station sushi to Korean soup to pizza, which I think most people would say, or at least that would be mine. But I can't wait to hear the two of you guys from different backgrounds, different approaches. Saeed, favorite all-time food?
Lebanese food, by far.
You're a homer. You're a homer. That's
Exactly. But
What am I going to say? Jersey food now?
yeah.
What is it, like a
Hot dogs.
Taylor
Yeah,
ham, egg, and cheese or something?
yeah. Saeed, what exact Lebanese food are we talking about? What's the key in there?
so there's a lot of food in Lebanese family that
Sure.
is delicious. But something my favorite, like when my mom used to make it, we're four kids in the family. This where we used to fight over it, you know?
Yeah.
Escargot, snails. So during the like the first rain in Lebanon, September, October,
Hmm.
we start getting escargots and snails, and that's my favorite food.
Love it. Love it.
Every time I see escargot, I'm ordering on the menu. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Peter, now the pressure's on. Like you said, is it bacon, egg, and cheese? Is it
No,
Nathan's hot
I'd say
dogs? I mean,
Taylor ham. I mean, that's a Jersey thing.
yeah. Talk to me. What's your
You know,
favorite? I can't
nobody
wait.
else in the country does that.
What
But
do you
I
like,
don't
Peter?
know. That's one thing him and I share a passion for is food. So whenever we can, we'll sit down and have a nice meal. But I like sharing food. So tapas is probably a big deal for me, or a big plate of Japanese food, either sushi, sashimi, and sitting there and sharing. That's the whole point for me. Food is bringing people together. So it's always been fun to share stuff.
True, true, true. All right, the good. The mix continues. I haven't had the same answer twice. We're good to go. I love it. A couple more questions for you guys. I know you're both real swamped. Both of you. I mean, Saeed, you've been around for a long time. Peter, you've been around for a long time. I'm very curious on what the biggest changes that you've seen in the glass and glazing industry from starting out to now. What's the thing that's probably changed the most?
Uh,
Fax machine, elimination of the fax machine.
That's hey, when I started, that was my world was the fax machine. Absolutely. That's how we got all our orders. Yeah. 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 That's a good one. Saeed?
what changed? Uh, I don't know. The drama is still the same. I think it's one of the toughest jobs
Yep.
that you never wake up. When you're in the glass business, you're stuck in the glass business. And I tell people, everybody that
Oh yeah.
it's like drugs. You cannot leave it. And a lot of people, they leave it for like 6 months and they come back. It
Yeah.
will always pull you back. And the concept is still the same. Like from the day I was 17 years working is meet your deadlines,
Yep.
and then communication too. This is very important. This is what I tell the team over here. Bad news is better than no news. If you have bad news, go back to the customer, tell them, listen, I promise you're getting your glass tomorrow. It's not happening
Yeah.
because, and what I explained, like from the fabrication side, we need to put ourselves in the glazing contractor side. And since I come from the field, I understand.
Yeah.
So if I'm a glazing contractor, I'm scheduling 5 guys to go tomorrow to the job site because Bendheim Glass is showing up tomorrow, and
Right.
it doesn't show up. What he's gonna do with the 5 guys?
Yeah.
So he's gonna lose money because he scheduled his guys there. They have nothing else to do, and then he didn't get the glass from Bendheim. Then the call that you're gonna get from him is totally different if you called him 2 days before, told him, "No, you're not gonna getting your glass."
Yeah, no, that is incredibly good advice, and it is funny because that I think is the toughest thing that people, especially the newer people to this industry, struggle with is delivering the bad news. They just hope it goes away, and especially when it comes to deliveries, because like you said, I mean, your customer is depending on it. They're sending people out. There might be a lift on site, things like that, and to not give them that heads up as soon as is crazy. But I know there are a lot of people. I still hear it from when I travel. They're like, we're waiting on this job. Fabricator never called us. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I mean, it's a tough phone call. You might get yelled at, but I'd rather get yelled at up front than on the backside. That's for sure. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I always say that the worst news is no news at all.
yep,
You can't do anything with no news. So
yeah,
I tell the people over here, like, when they're yelling at you, don't take it personal. They're yelling at Bendheim. Just every time they yell at you, think about the entire team. They're yelling at the entire team, not only a specific. They don't know you. They don't know anything about you. They're not yelling at you.
yeah.
So
It's
absorb the information and then figure out how we're gonna make it better.
no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Very cool. I like it. So Peter Stattler, Saeed Elieh from Bendheim. Find them online at bendheim.com. Coming down the stretch here, question wise, supply chain. Right now, it is pretty volatile. Some people are suffering different ails from it than others. How is it affecting you? Maybe not affecting you guys at all. I mean, are you running into any supply chain issues out there? Anything that is concerning you about that world right now?
Uh, for us, it's very tough because we have 2,000, 3,000 different products, right?
Right.
So if you're doing clear float glass, and this is what you have, if you do IGUs with low E coating and clear float, you know exactly what to have. But for us, there is so many different pattern glass, so many different inner layers. There is tons of glass on the floor. So the way around it is to communicate with the customer and say, okay, when you need the glass on site. If you need the glass on site in September, I have to make sure I have all the glass at Bendheim over here in New Jersey
Right.
by July
Right.
to be able to start fabrication.
Right.
If you have the communication with them, and sometimes they come back and say, why do you need my PO and deposit 6 months in advance?
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to help them, right? Try to save them. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't listen, but you're like, this is the only way. If you want this glass to be on job site, I need to be here in July. This way, when you're ready with the field measurements, I can start fabrication.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
explaining the background also from where it's coming from, what the process is, how the glass is put together. We many times invite contractors and architects to come to our facility in New Jersey to see exactly what these steps are. It
Yeah.
takes time. Things, you're not just tempering a piece of glass and having it in 24 hours. There's multiple steps in these processes. So we always encourage architects and contractors to come in and see what we're doing. We're always welcome.
Yeah, no, it's funny how many, architects and general contractors think that you guys just have it already cut to size sitting on the warehouse floor. Like Home Depot. Like you could run to Home Depot, grab that 2448 window and it's on its way. And I mean, I used to go through that. I mean, that was my past and it would drive me crazy. And I'm sure with you guys with 3,000, I think you said, Saeed, 3,000 different products, I can only imagine some of the questions that you guys get.
And Max, with us, it's not like, especially like when I'm talking about interior, it's not like the exterior where ASTM standard, you have to inspect the glass from 10 feet away. We don't have that on interior.
No.
They're inspecting glass from 6 inch away. So if you have a small dust in the glass, so imagine the glass is tempered, right? Two pieces tempered, you drill hole in this, and then you laminate, and at the end, after lamination, you have a dust in the glass. That's a reject that you have to remake. So that's why we invite those architects and GCs to show them the process that you're gonna, every single piece of glass, you gotta start from zero. You gotta cut, you gotta temper, pol, everything is gonna start from zero. And sometimes they call, I'm like, why do you need, for laminated glass, you need 4 weeks to produce? I'm like, come over, let me show you what.
Yeah. If
And
we
then
could
they understand.
I do think if we could get more people from outside our world to look and see what we do inside our world, it would be easier for everyone.
Agree.
But it is, everybody's busy. There's so much going on. It's just really hard to, bring them under the tent. But it's great that you're doing what you're doing to do that. So good stuff. Good stuff. Earlier in our talk, you did mention, Saeed, that you guys are looking good for 2026. How, let's expand on that a little bit. I mean, right now it's so like the visibility out there is so tough because the economic landscape seems to change moment by moment right now in the United States. So you're feeling good about the future? I mean, backlog's looking good. You guys are feeling confident?
Yeah, we're looking good. And then the thing is with the economy, right? If new construction is slow, renovation is busy.
Right.
And this is the advantage about Bendheim. We do both. We do new construction on the facades, and we do renovation on the interior. So 2025, I know a lot of people were struggling. However, we had very good year. So far, we're having a very good year.
Good.
And based on the project sizes that we're getting, we're building the backlog for 2026.
Nice, nice. And Peter, how are you feeling about it? You've been through some wars, my friend.
Yeah,
How's
you
it
learn
feeling?
to you learn to smooth things out after a while, and you realize, when times are down. I saw an interview when COVID started with an architect in New York City with Peter Marino. He said this is a time for these companies to really ratchet up. He's doing a lot of retail stuff for all the French retail stores, and this is the time to rebuild and redo stuff inside. So it's not always an opportunity. It's just what you're going to chase during those times when you're slow or when things are booming. You keep it in perspective. Things will come back, whatever it is. You just got to be ready or hunker down and go after things.
Love it, love it. Yeah, good advice. There's been a ton of nuggets in here between the two of you guys. That it's good school, good food for thought. Guys, really appreciate the time. I've had Peter Stattler, Saeed, Elieh, Bendheim. Find them online at bendheim.com, which is, in case you don't know how to spell it, BENDHEIM.com. Great website, great company. Guys, thank you so much for doing the podcast. I think Peter, the last time I saw you was in Germany, standing in line at Glass Tech for like a really bad bagel.
Yeah, don't get bagels in Germany.
No, but it just shows you how desperate I was for food. And so
What's your
hopefully,
favorite food, by the way?
I'm pizza.
Yeah.
So if I would come to visit you in Jersey, I would ask you to take me to New York so we could, go on a pizza tour because I love pizza. You know,
Awesome.
for sure. But I hope to see you both soon, sometime this fall. Hopefully, walking around Glassbuild. I hope.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome,
definitely.
awesome, great. Well, thank you so much for doing the podcast. Keep up the great work and keep rolling out there. It's good stuff. Congrats.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
man.
Max.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hey Glazers and Fabricators, FHC, the frameless hardware company, is here to support your business. In addition to offering a complete selection of glazing tools and supplies to get the job done right, we design, engineer, and manufacture a comprehensive offering of frameless shower door systems, heavy glass doors, aluminum entrances and storefronts, architectural railings, transaction and display hardware. Privately owned and American-made, FHC prioritizes you, the customer. You now have a choice. Visit fhc-usa.com.
Okay. I've got Ted Baumgardner with me, president of Guthrie Automation. You can find that on the web, and I'll probably repeat it more than a few times because it's really cool. www.GuthrieAI. So that's GUTHRIEAI.com. And I'm thrilled to have Ted here. Ted, thank you so much for doing the pod.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Max. I'm really excited. I've been following your work and everything that you do for a long time, and I'm honored to be able to participate.
Honor's all mine, my friend. And let's get into it. First, I know you've got a really interesting background, but I only know it in parts and pieces. So take me through the past a little bit and help me fill in the color a little bit. Your life to date.
Okay, so I don't normally like talking about myself. So for anybody
Nobody
listening,
does.
please
Nobody
just
does. So
just fast forward 5 minutes and we'll get to the actual important stuff.
yeah.
But for your edification, Max, so grew up in South Jersey. My mom lived in Guthrie, started Guthrie Glass and Metal 40 years ago,
Yep.
And my dad, George Baumgardner, started Baumgardner Construction, which was a general contracting firm in South Jersey. They both did union construction, mostly in the Atlantic City area. From there, I took a short detour down to Annapolis for the Naval Academy, where I rode for college,
Mm-hmm.
and then commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps, where I spent 8 years as a ground intelligence officer and reconnaissance officer.
Nice.
And before making my way back to Philadelphia, went to grad school over here at the University of Pennsylvania, did a joint JD MBA degree, so business and law at the same time, and then finally fully joined. I first joined the family business, working for my mom, as a 30-year-old man, which is always, and I'm sure many folks in the industry
We
will
do. Yeah.
totally understand.
Yep.
And through that journey. So in the Marine Corps, I was a intelligence officer. My job was to go out and collect unstructured, random information, take it, process it, synthesize it, and then deliver it in a way that the commander could understand
Yep.
and make decisions. And so then I get into the glass business, and I'm working for my mom, and I'm like, holy smokes, I've seen this pattern before,
Sure, sure.
and here we are.
Yeah.
Now I started, it broke it off. I kept her name, have to pay homage to the matriarch.
Yep.
So Guthrie Automation is now working for other glass companies, doing that same, providing that same concept that I started in the Marine Corps and then find with delivering for my mom, and now work for other folks in the industry.
Cool, cool. And we're going to talk about Guthrie Automation, but I got to ask you because I only knew about the Marine part. I did not know about the Navy part. So why did you go to the Marines after spending that time in Annapolis? Or did the Marines say he's too good to be in the Navy? I mean, what happened there? How did you end up in the
I,
Marines?
yeah, I didn't pass my nuclear physics exam, and so I couldn't be a submarine officer. No,
I don't even know it was on that test. Nuclear
no,
physics.
no. That's a joke. So the Naval Academy, most people don't know the Marine Corps is a department, part of the Department of the Navy, and
Okay.
so every year you've got 1,000 or so folks at the Naval Academy, and about a third of them commission into the United States Marine Corps. And from there, we do various things, but you go through this process of service selection where it's they make you feel like you're picking.
Yeah.
I have a sense that there's a lot of work that kind of sorts us into where the government, needs of the Marine Corps, needs of the Navy.
Sure.
But for me, I felt that the autonomy that the Marine Corps provides young second lieutenants, where they take you don't know much about the job, and they put you in charge of a 40-person platoon, and you're responsible. And the autonomy that they give you to get it done, it
Yeah.
was second to none. And I was really excited about that, and it was something that gave me a incredible experience. And I look at the Marine Corps and the construction industry, and see a ton of parallels, especially in this sort of officer enlisted dynamic.
Yes.
One of the things that they tell you as a lieutenant, you've got a lot of academic knowledge. You've been to college. You're technically, in charge, responsible, but they pair you up with a senior enlisted staff NCO, staff non-commissioned officer, who's come up through the ranks. I mean, this
Okay.
person's been in the Marine Corps for a decade. They've been in the field. They understand things not just at the theoretical level, but at the tactical level.
Okay.
And this person's your second in command. And so when I look at the construction industry, and you've got a lot of folks coming from college, going right into the office, like me,
Yeah.
and and we're not going to be successful if we're not working with and hand in hand with those field professionals who are out there actually accomplishing the installation.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's that teamwork and that molding of the two that I think is what really makes effective teams.
Nice, nice, nice. That's a great analogy, and obviously, thank you for your service. I appreciate that, and everybody out there appreciates that. And I did not know that the Marines were a part of the Navy. I should have known that, but I
Yeah.
did not know that. So I learned something new today, and I plan on learning even more new because Guthrie AI is really, really cool. Again, you can find it at GuthrieAI.com. Let's talk about Guthrie Automation. What is it? How did he get it going? What's the benefit to the industry and so on? Give me the rundown on this. I know a little bit about it because you and I have talked about it. So let's give the audience though a rundown on how cool this is.
So I was thinking about how to kind of distill it, and I can distill it into three things, right?
Okay.
It's a head start, it's a second look, and it's more time.
Okay.
And so when I started working for my mom, I mean, she's been in the business for 40 something years. I mean, and is incredible. I am always impressed watching her interact with GCs, interact with her general foreman, whomever it is. Her knowledge is so expansive. But I was working for her, and I was realizing that she was always behind because the amount of information that was being thrown onto her plate from her clients, from her suppliers, it was just inhuman. And after talking to her and hearing about her journey, and it seems like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you would roll up to the general contractor's office, you do your takeoff on their plans, you'd mail it out to your vendors.
Right.
A week later, you'd submit your bid, and they would award it, and that would be it, right?
Yeah.
And then you go and figure it out in the field.
Right.
And it seems like over the past 20 years, I mean, there's actually a statistic that has come out that the amount of pre-construction, amount of work that subcontractors are being asked to do during pre-construction has doubled. And I think that's probably consistent with everybody's experience. I mean, the number of revisions, the number of you got to budget it 6 times, and then it finally comes out, and you're going back and forth, all while you're trying to actually perform
Yeah.
the jobs that you have under contract. And
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, how can we take lessons from my experience in the Marine Corps, from the current cutting edge of technology, and pull them together to come up with a solution to this just information overload that folks are dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we came up with Guthrie Automation Inc., Guthrie AI, and we're trying to take the advancements of artificial intelligence, combine it with the automation capability that already exists, that people know that they just don't have time to get into.
Right.
And then pair it with our trained team that can put everything together and deliver it in a way that makes sense to somebody who needs to use it.
Okay. Okay. So that get the head start, second look, more time. That's the three pillars of it. So
Yeah.
so it makes a difference from the standpoint of more visibility, in an easier way.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I would spend, when I was estimating for my mom, I would spend the first hour looking at an RFP, trying to figure out, like, okay, what are they asking me to do? Like,
Right.
what is the actual scope here, right? And I mean, there was no like expertise that is required. I mean, once you have the basic understanding of the industry, like to bring all of that together and organize it is that's a pretty repetitive task.
Mm-hmm.
And then to structure it all so that you can review it with my mom or whomever else,
Mm-hmm.
is, again, those are the non-expert tasks that are taking all of our time.
Right. Right.
And we talk about the skilled labor shortage. A lot of folks are struggling to find qualified people with the experience needed.
Yeah.
And so how do you think about that differently? How do you, instead of, hey, how do we find more people? How do we use the people that we do have more effectively, more efficiently? How do we
Yeah.
take some of that disorganization, put it together so that when they're bidding work, it's all already prepared for them? The analogy that I've started using is like when you go to the doctor's office, who takes your blood pressure?
Yeah.
The nurse takes your blood pressure, right?
Yes.
And so, the doctor comes in, the nurse has already prepared the chart for the doctor.
Yes. That's right.
And so now the doctor is able to spend the time on interacting with the patient. They're able to do that higher level test because the information's already been prepared, been pulled together. The doctor still checks it. The doctor still, talk, but they're now able to. I mean, how many times? I can't tell you how many times, either me personally or some of my clients, like they feel like they can never get out from behind the computer,
Right.
and they don't have time to interact with their clients, with their vendors, because they're stuck answering emails or trying to figure out where the details for this specific curtain wall section are. Like, why can't that information be pulled together, prepared for a glazing professional before they get into the job. And the good news is that now it can be.
That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I love it. So Guthrie Automation, it's www.GuthrieAI, so GUTHRIEAI.com. And so is this for just powerhouses like Lynn Guthrie and Guthrie Glass and Metal, or is this for smaller companies or people in between? Who's the focus, or can everybody use it?
Anybody who spends more time than they want wading through disorganized information. I can't help folks that are doing service work. You know, my
Right.
buddy down in DC, Steve Albert of S. Albert Glass. I know he's got a phenomenal technology platform
Hmm.
called Glazer's Tool that helps her. But that is a different, you know, the technician or whomever is going out, they're assessing it on the field. That's not an area that I can support.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Anybody else who's receiving RFPs from GCs and knows they've got all of this on their plate and they've got to download the files and they've got to figure out which one the current architecturals are. Do they have the structurals? Are there specs? They got to break the specs apart. They got to send that out to their vendors. Anybody who does that, whether you're doing 2 million or 20 million or 200 million, maybe, I don't know if
Yeah.
there's, yeah. W&W hit me up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Jeff Haber. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So anybody doing that kind of work or struggling with that problem, I would say is somebody that I can help.
Good, good, good. And I think the help is, you made a great point about, the responsibilities and the tasks are two and even more times more than it was 20 years ago. And now the onset of design assist makes it a bigger thing. So when it's a design assist thing and you want your experts to kind of break it down, that's a lot of time for them. And this then the Guthrie AI helps give that next level the answers to the test when you're moving into a design assisted venture. I assume I have that right, or am I in the wrong path?
No, you're absolutely right. Like
Okay.
anything that in any scenario where you're being asked to and where you don't have the answers to the test already, where the
Yeah.
information is where somebody says, "Hey, here's the link to the Dropbox,
And go
go
for it.
go figure it out," right?
Right.
And then your vendors are saying, "Hey, yeah, I can't get you pricing for 6 months." I mean, most of them are 4 6 weeks out unless you do your own takeoff, unless you get your own stock
Yeah.
length counts, unless
Right.
you get your own glass takeoff, and Lynn Guthrie and many other folks, should not be counting squares on. They should be learning the job,
Right.
and you do that through looking at the details, talking to your team, talking to your vendors, talking to the client.
And especially in this day and age where like supply chain is so crucial to have somebody, spending time doing that versus talking to their supply chain and strengthening it. Yeah, this is definitely an efficiency builder. So I love that it's the solution for information overload, but also a major efficiency gainer for our industry. So it's Guthrie Automation. You can learn more about that at GuthrieAI.com. And speaking of just learning more, you were one of the big speakers at the Glass Symposium in April, and I've got Ted Baumgardner with me, president of Guthrie Automation. He was there. What was the crowd reaction like? What was it like speaking to that group? It was a great event. Good experience for you?
Yeah, I mean that was awesome. I mean shout out to Pat for putting it together, Mike Laughlin for the vision, and all those guys who realize that, hey, there's a gap in our geographical area.
Yep.
Let's bring everybody together to talk about what's going on. And I thought they did a great job, and obviously was honored to have an opportunity to talk about not just what we're doing with Guthrie Automation and Guthrie AI, but what the artificial intelligence landscape is looking like more broadly. And I had a lot of positive feedback talking about, okay, here's how you hear about things like NVIDIA and ChatGPT,
Hmm.
OpenAI. How is all of that layered together,
Hmm.
and what does it mean for us in the glass industry? And so yeah, it was a great opportunity.
And that's the big thing because I do think that a lot of people understand the basics of AI more and more every day. but they don't know how it can, intertwine into our industry. And so that's what's kind of cool about what you have going on, because, you're allowing people to jump into that without them having to learn it, because they could go right through your system, the same as they would go to Perplexity to, do some research, or Grok or ChatGPT, so on. They would go to Guthrie AI and work with you.
Exactly. We're trying to
Cool.
create a seamless experience to pull all of these different technologies together. And so it's like, hey, let us employ those, because frankly, like Max, one of the things that we've realized is like people just don't have time to learn new. I mean, the amount of technology that gets thrown at people on a monthly, yearly basis, it's so evolving. I mean, not just, and let's face it, like the computer stuff is not the like what's important is the metal and the glass that gets installed in the building.
Yes.
And like if that doesn't happen, then nothing else matters. And so we've got a lot of these professionals who've been in the trade who are focused on delivering glazing projects and who are staying up to date. I mean, we talk about BEC and the technology that they talk about there. That's what's important. And
Yeah.
so the pitch is like, hey, let us stay on top of it. We'll deliver the information in the way that you're already used to. We deliver everything through Bluebeam, through email, so you don't have to learn a new system. Focus on the metal, the glass, what's important to you and what's important to your clients, and let us handle everything else.
Love it. Love it. Very, very cool. Ted Baumgardner with me, president of Guthrie Automation. And I always break up my podcast in the middle with a fun question, a little off topic. And for you, the question is your favorite holiday and why? And I'll give you mine. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday just because I love being around the family, love food, and then there's football. And being in Detroit, it's Lions football. And now that they're good, it's kind of fun to actually watch versus all the years we watched where they were bad. So Thanksgiving's mine. How about you, my friend? What is your favorite holiday?
So I was tempted to say Veterans Day because I love the free appetizer at Applebee's,
Yeah.
which is always appreciated.
Yep. Yep.
But I think so. I live in Philadelphia, work in Philadelphia. I think July 4th is the my favorite holiday. I love American history. I've read all about the founders and the founding of the country, and to take all of these different folks to come together and sign the Declaration of Independence. I think, and when you look at how fractured our current political environment is, and there's a lot of divisiveness, you
Yeah.
look back at who these folks were that signed the Declaration of Independence in the colonies. The colonies were not, it was not a unified, they
No.
weren't, they were very different. I mean, you had these New England abolitionists and these Southern slaveholders and these financiers from New York and the farmers from Virginia, and they did not see eye to eye, but they were still able to put their differences aside, come together, and unify and fight for freedom. And I think that message is even more important in environments like today. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
July
And
4th.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So we're recording this in late June. This podcast comes out on July 6th. So by the time people are listening to this, Ted will have had a great time on his favorite holiday. So
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
love it.
absolutely.
Good pick. Good pick with you. A couple more questions for you because I know you're busy and I appreciate your time. LinkedIn, one of my favorite places to learn, and I'm always learning from either people putting up projects, people making comments, whatever the case may be. You had a post that caught my attention. You talked a little bit about the pay if paid clause, and I've been kind of aware of that and around that for many, many years. Worked with the Detroit Glazing Contractors Association, and obviously my work with BEC and so on. Talk about what you noted in that post, and obviously, I think people were probably hitting you up with wanting advice or insight, but talk about pay if paid and where it's all at right now, at least in your mind.
Yeah, so I think fortunately because I went to grad school and I had this business and law school sort of combination.
Yes.
I was thinking about this pay, like there's 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 no reason why a general contractor can't. I mean, most subs have to go out and they get lines of credit because they're paying their vendors before they are getting paid. I mean, that's just how business is
Yeah.
done in every industry, right?
Right.
But I think when general contractors when they don't do that, and when they put these pay if paid clauses into their contracts, they are pushing the risk of and the task of assessing the credit worthiness
Right.
of the client onto the subcontractor. And when you think about like what the point of the law and our common law system, it's normally to allocate risk to the person who or the entity that is best positioned to mitigate that risk, which in our industry would be the general contractor because they're the closest. Would you rather have one general contractor who's assessing the risk of the client, or would
Yeah.
you rather have, now 10, 20, 30 subs who
Right.
all have to do their own? It makes for a much more inefficient system when that happens.
Yeah. So how do you fight back at that when you see that clause? I mean, which because we do talk about that, and some people have advice, and some people say you have to take the hard line or shrug their shoulders. I mean, what do you do in that case when you see it in a deal in a contract?
I think that you have to go through the steps. You have to do the job that the contracting party should do, which is assess the creditworthiness of the person who is paying you, and you put language that uh, makes sure your lien rights, that secures your lien rights.
Hmm.
You have to. It's unfortunate because I think I said something, or I read something on LinkedIn that said, many construction firms are litigation firms masquerading as builders,
Right.
and I think it's the way the industry is going is unfortunately pushing a lot of subcontractors who love the trade, who want to focus on the trade and building, and are now making them become legal experts, understanding how to do the paperwork to make sure that their lien rights are protected, to make sure that all of their ducks are in a row. So if the owner doesn't pay the GC, now I'm going to have to initiate an action against the owner. So I'm not in the camp that says, oh, you got to draw a hard line
Okay.
and not do work for those folks. Um, I'm on the idea that the impression that you now just have to do a lot more paperwork and have your ducks in a row. And if it's not worth it for you to do that, then you do walk away and you
Yeah.
say, hey, I want to go work with people who will let me focus on what I do best, which is installing glass in a room.
That's perfect. Yeah, well said. Well said. I've got Ted Baumgardner with me, president of Guthrie Automation. We talked about his product that you can see up at GuthrieAI.com. That's spelled GuthrieAI.com. GuthrieAI.com. You were at BEC this year. I missed you. I did not know you were there until I heard afterwards. It's a whirlwind for me, obviously. It's nuts, those couple
Yeah,
days.
yeah,
So I'm curious. Was that your first BEC? First attending of BEC?
yeah. It was. I got peer pressured by David Montoya from Landmark Facades. I don't know if you're
Yep.
a great guy. Love their company, and he was telling me, he was hitting me up beforehand. He said, "Hey, you got to go to DC. It's the premier networking event. Yada yada yada." This yada yada stuff, and he finally pushed me, and so glad I did, because it just an awesome environment. Uh, Incredible experience to interact with all these folks from around the country who are seeing things in different ways, and really get my finger on the pulse of what's going on in our industry.
Cool, cool. And so I assume you'll be in Louisville next year for the BEC.
Yeah,
All right,
definitely,
good, 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 good.
definitely.
I like it. All right, last question for you. The market, the economy, it's kind of special these days, trying to figure out which way is up. You seem to me like a pretty optimistic person overall. But even if you are optimistic, it's really hard to stay optimistic when things seemingly are gaining against you. What is your feel for the market? What are you seeing there in Philly, Jersey, that area? What's it look like for the next 6 months to a year for you?
I, I am I am too much of a believer in American exceptionalism to have anything but a positive outlook. Even though you're right, the pipeline does look a little scarce. It seems like there's more people fighting for less work, but I look at some of the advancements that are coming out with technology, it is hard not to be bullish about what the next 5, 10, 15 years are going to look like. And when you look at some of the issues that are going on right now, and some of the things that are like they're a lot of them are self-inflicted. Whether you think that the political direction is right or wrong, the, the, it is whether we are creating these conditions, and so as things get figured out, it's only going to get better. It's not like the 2008 great financial crisis, where we had this implosion of asset values. This is different, where we're reconfiguring supply chains. We're figuring out new global trade norms, and as that gets figured out, things will start to open up. And then you couple in, here's all of these advancements that are being made with technology, with production, and it's hard not to be excited about what the next couple of years. We've got to get through a little rough patch, but give it a couple of years. I think
I had a feeling you were going to play the optimist role, and that's it makes sense. I mean, there is a lot of money sitting on the sideline, and that's the biggest difference between now and 2008, 2009. There was no money sitting on the sideline then. Yeah. People were dying for that money. Now there's a lot of money sitting on the sideline waiting for that, stability, like you talked about, waiting for that, visibility to come. So it's just a matter of time, and we just have to keep riding the storm out. That's what I say pretty much every week on my blog now, is got to ride the storm out, and that's the goal there. Ted, thank you so much for doing the pod. I've had Ted Baumgardner, president of Guthrie Automation. Find them online at GuthrieAI.com. It's an incredible product. Learned a ton here today from you. Thank you so much for doing the podcast. I look forward to seeing you in person, hopefully at Glassbuild. If not, for sure at BEC. Grab me. Do not let me miss you this time. Grab me and say, hey, I'd like to see you in person. But thank you so much for doing the pod.
Yeah, absolutely, Max. Thanks for the conversation. I'm super excited, and looking forward to linking up soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
All right. See you, man.
Okay. That wraps up the guest portion of our show. Thank you so much to Saeed, Elieh, Peter Stattler of Bendheim. Fantastic guys. Thank you to Ted Baumgardner of Guthrie AI, a classy, super guy as well. So lucky to have those folks on the show. Thank you to them. Also, thank you to the sponsor of this episode, FHC. They are all about education. Make sure you check them out at fhc-usa.com. They're also sponsoring some AGMT training at their place in August. If you want to learn more about that and get your training done, and it's big in our industry, and go to glazingcertification.com. All right, but as I do every podcast, some TV thoughts real quick to wrap it up. Trainwreck. It's a mini series that's on Netflix. They have a bunch of different episodes, but one that really caught my eye was about Rob Ford, the former mayor of Toronto, very controversial guy. Perfect length of a kind of a mini documentary. It was like 49 minutes. They got everything they had to get out. There was no filler, no wasted time. Interesting guy. And I know my Canadian audience, especially those in Toronto, know him pretty well. And so I thought Netflix did a nice job on that. If you're from that area and they didn't, let me know. And then from the empty calorie side of things, The Waterfront, also on Netflix. A little bit of a different show. If you liked Ozark, I think you'll love The Waterfront. Still empty calorie, perfect treadmill show, keeps you going. So interesting stuff there. So check those both out on Netflix. All right, that wraps up this edition. Again, going to be back in a few weeks. Lined up some incredible guests leading up into Glassbuild and beyond. Real excited about it. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you soon.
Oh, the music is stopped.